Hey everybody, this is Dinosaur George. Let's just jump right into it. No introduction this time. What do you think of that? This episode, the featured item is a pterodactylus plate. This is cool. This is a replica, of course. This is molded off of the Solnhofen, Germany specimen. This is pterodactylus. I think it's Kachi. I think it's how some people pronounce it Kokai. I think it's Kachi. Anyway, I know some people are going to scream, oh my gosh, there's no such thing as pterodactyl. Okay, yes there is. Pterodactyl is sort of a family name for all of the members in that family. Yes, there is not an animal named pterodactyl, but there is a specimen named Pterodactylus. So this is Pterodactylus. It's really cool. It's a neat piece. It is item 3119. It retails for $24.95. We do ship worldwide. And if you look, there should be a box somewhere in here that you can click on. It'll take you right to our catalog, and you can find one yourself. Or if you go to the catalog, there's a search button. You can just type in item 3119 and it'll take you right to it if this is what you want to get. All right, everybody, let's jump into it. This first question is from Tas, from Zakynthos, Greece, Zakynthos. How do you pronounce that? Zakynthos? I don't know. It's from Greece. I know how to pronounce that. So, Tas, please forgive me if I misspelled the name of your community. Greece is a beautiful place, and that's one of the places on my bucket list. I'm going to go there. All right. He says, hi, Dinosaur George. How are you? I'm doing great. How are you? I have a question. What do you think about the UCMP 137538 and the UCMP 118742 specimens of T-Rex? Are the specimens real, and did they reach the sizes that they said they did? All right. For those of you that may not understand all of that stuff, let me explain something to you. When specimens are discovered, they have to be given some kind of identifiable name or number that helps other paleontologists understand what it is you're talking about. In this particular case, UCMP stands for University of California Museum of Paleontology. So those letters tell you that's where the specimen is located, or that's who named the specimen. The numbers that follow are sort of like your social security number or your identification number or your driver's license number or your phone number. It's numbers that help identify what the animal is, who it is. Okay, so here's the problem with both of those specimens. Not a lot of pieces have been found from them. So it's very difficult to say with any sense of certainty how big they are. They're true specimens, of course they're real specimens, but there's a danger when you take and you find an individual bone. Let's say you find a toe bone. If you take that toe bone and go compare it to the size of the toe bone of a more complete Tyrannosaurus rex, if your toe bone is 10% bigger than theirs, you can't simply say, aha, then my dinosaur is 10% bigger than this dinosaur because this bone was bigger than the matching bone from the same foot and the same toe. But that's not a legitimate way to do it. Look at humans, for instance. There are some of us whose femur, or upper leg bone, is relatively shorter compared to the rest of the body, and yet the body may be taller than a person who has a longer femur. So you couldn't take that femur and make that decision that this belongs to a taller person than that simply because the femur is a different size. I hope that sort of makes sense. Some people are taller from the waist up and some people are taller from the waist down, meaning their legs are longer in proportion to their body. So within any animal, you're going to have those variances. So my guess is I never put a lot of credibility into the estimate of the size of an animal when it's based on very limited evidence. You could certainly get an estimate, but that estimate is very, very rough, meaning I don't put a lot of credibility into it. So in my particular opinion, I don't believe they reach the size. Now, when we say, did they reach the size that everybody says, keep in mind, a lot of what's posted online is opinions by people who have never even seen the piece. They simply regurgitate something they heard as fact. And so what happens is word begins to spread, and the next thing you know, the people at the University of California Museum of Paleontology are saying, we never said that was a 55-foot long Tyrannosaurus rex. We never said that. That's because they didn't. but other people who took the information and sort of molded it into what they believe began to spread it, and other people spread it around. So I'm glad that you asked that question, and I'm glad that you're questioning that. Again, my opinion would be it's probably not realistic to be as big as they claim, whoever they are, claim it is. Okay, Sahad from Qatif, Saudi Arabia. Sahad, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, my friend. Hi, DG. How was your day? It's very good. How was yours, by the way? Saudi Arabia is another country I wish I could visit. Maybe one day when I come, you'll be my tour guide. So my question is, what would you think would have happened if Sarcosuchus and Deinosuchus met? My guess is that they would keep a safe distance and they would have some territorial mini fights. And for the sake of fun, let's assume they fought. Who would win in your opinion? All right. If two gigantic crocodiles, because you said Sarcosuchus and Deinosuchus, okay. Two gigantic crocodiles met, different species. What would happen? I agree with you. I think that those animals would have done everything in their ability to not fight. Fighting is the last thing an animal wants to do because of the potential of being injured. You intimidate your rival first. You do everything you can to prevent that fight. And so the first thing I think would happen there would be loud snapping of the jaws and slapping of the tails and those deep rumbling noises that if those two animals didn't live together, so they never met. But if they did, I think you would see a tremendous amount of posturing and hoping that one of them would turn and leave. If they didn't, and let's say for fun they did fight, who would win? Well, I know that the bite of Sarcosuchus, that elongated snout, sort of gives him an advantage because he doesn't necessarily have to be as up close and personal with you as Deinosuchus. But Deinosuchus has that more robust snout that says to me, if he ever got his mouth around Sarcosuchus, he would never let go. Whereas Sarcosuchus, with the more elongated snout, I think as soon as Deinosuchus would begin to spin or do that famous death roll, I think Sarcosuchus would let go because of the potential of breaking his jaws. But it would be an epic battle, whatever the situation would be, but that's kind of cool. All right, Chris from Nebworth, England. Hello, Mr. Blassing. Chris, good to hear from you, buddy. I was wondering, could T-Rex and its relatives hunt at night? And if so, would light reflect from their eyes? Thanks for answering my question. Wow. Would light reflect from the eyes of a dinosaur? You know, they reflect from almost every other animal that I'm aware of, or at least mammals. So I don't know if it would reflect or not. I suspect it would. I think their eyes would reflect light. So if you shone a light on them, you would probably see their eyes glowing, I would think. Now, could they hunt at night? They could. I would bet they could. But here's my opinion. All animals need that downtime for the body to recover. And so Tyrannosaurus is absolutely suited for daytime hunting, in my opinion. I don't think it would also have much history of hunting at night. In other words, it wouldn't have a lot of the skills necessary to hunt at night because it takes a long time to hone those skills. And I don't believe that's an animal that would have wanted to do that. I think when the lights go out, Tyrannosaurus's brain turns off and it ain't open till tomorrow morning when the sun comes up. I think he literally shut down because, especially when you're a big animal, you need more recovery time because of the amount of energy that you're burning during the day. So if it could, I think it would be a very limited thing. That more than likely, if it injured something during the day and that animal was bleeding to death and was dying at night, then I think T-Rex would have come in the dark and finished it off. But I don't think he's going to spend a lot of his time hunting at night. But that's kind of an interesting question too, Chris. All right, Layla from Devon, England. Boy, a lot of people from England, a lot of people from out of the country. Hi, DG. It's so great to have you back, and I hope you and your family are doing well. Layla, what a pleasant thing to say. I hope you and your family are doing well as well. Woolly mammoths could be living again one day through cloning. If the planet could support them once more, I think we should do it. What do you think? Wow, this is a good one, Layla. Should we? Could we? Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Always the questions we ask when it comes to bringing back animals that have been extinct. Here's my opinion about the mammoth. If mammoths were like elephants today, and the fossil evidence absolutely suggests that they did, they lived in family groups. And when you have animals that live in family groups, they require other members of the family to have what we would consider to be a normal life. So if you brought back a woolly mammoth, would diseases from modern elephants today kill it? Or did it have a disease that could kill modern elephants? I would think we would have to keep those two animals separated. And to do that, Layla, would mean that you are bringing an animal to life to confine it to a life of solitary confinement. It could never have interaction with other animals, probably not even us. What if we carry some kind of disease that it has no immunity to? After all those years of going by, there are diseases that could be found in our environment, in the air, that might cause it to die. So that would mean that the animal would probably have to be kept in a environmentally safe environment, which once again means we're bringing it back to life so that it cannot interact with anything else. Now, I don't have a clear understanding of DNA and cloning, and if you bring something back, do you bring back whatever diseases it carried? Are those brought back? Or certainly its immune system would be unfamiliar with modern times. So could you run the risk of allowing it to be associated with other animals? So should we, for the sake of science, if they brought back a cloned mammoth, I would be the first guy in line to buy a ticket to go see it. But should we is a question I guess we'll leave for another day, Layla. What's best for science may not necessarily be, well, think about this. Science has done some pretty heinous things in the name of science. So it's not beyond science to do something that would be ethically absolutely horrible. And maybe bringing back a mammoth would be that. Now, what about this, Layla? Think about this. What if we brought back the dodo bird, the passenger pigeon, the Tasmanian tiger? What if we brought back those animals? See, to me, those animals have not been very far removed from the environment. And even though when we bring them back, it would be different, but I think they could survive, and I think they could be an animal that you would want to repopulate and turn loose on society. So maybe those are a better way to start, but I don't know. Like I said, Layla, if you're in line to see the mammoth and I'm behind you, expect me to push you down and run past you to get further up in line. That's the kind of guy I am. All right. Sean from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. Love Canada, my friend. I was wondering what kind of lifestyle abelisaurs lived. Paul Sereno stated once that the small teeth meant abelisaurids were scavengers because they don't need big teeth to hunt. Thank you for your time and keep up the great work. Thank you, Sean. That's very kind of you. Wow. You know, of all the predatory dinosaurs, if there is one that I consider to be scavengers, it would be the abelisaurs or the abelisaurs, because they do not seem to have any of the necessary equipment to really be top predators. Now, certainly they'd kill something if they could catch it, but I don't think that's what they did. I have a tendency to agree with Paul Sereno. I got to say something. I've never met Paul Sereno, Dr. Paul Sereno. I wish I could, because I'd love the chance to just sit there and pick his brain one day. But I would agree with him. If that's his opinion, I would agree that he's probably right. They seem to be much more, their teeth are very peg-like, so they're probably better suited for grabbing and just pulling back small pieces of meat off the bone. That's my best guess. Plus, those tiny little hands did nothing. So I have a tendency to agree with Dr. Sereno. All right. Finally, Michael from McDonald, Ohio. Hey, DG, I was wanting to know what kind of dinosaur is Godzilla. I know that he's a theropod, but I'm not sure what kind he is. The complete Godzilla compendium, there is an interesting section written by Dr. Ken Carpenter. Dr. Ken Carpenter is an amazing paleontologist, about what kind of dinosaur he thought it was, and he concluded that it's either a Tyrannosaurus rex due to its robust appearance or a Ceratosaurus because it has long arms with 4 fingers. I just wanted your opinion on what kind of theropod the king of kaiju is. Thank you very much, and I hope you have an awesome day. Thank you, Michael. Hope you have an awesome day as well. What is Godzilla? If you watch some of the earlier movies, they actually show a picture of an iguana. So maybe it's an iguana that's really gotten some heavy. I mean, if you go from being an iguana to a gigantic Tyrannosaurus, I guess it would, or a gigantic monster, I guess you could have started off being a herbivore. But when you look at the rest of him, he is very Tyrannosaur-like. And I guess Ceratosaurus would be a good a choice as any because of those long arms and 4 fingers, because Ceratosaurus is the biggest of the long-armed 4-fingered predators. So maybe that's a good guess. I don't know. I'm gonna leave that. If Dr. Ken Carpenter believes that he may have been a Tyrannosaurus rex or a Ceratosaurus, who am I to question that? It would be fun figuring out what he is, though. All right, you guys, it was a lot of fun seeing you again. Go to my website. Check out everything on my website. You can see some pretty cool stuff. Visit my catalog. There's a lot of cool stuff. We just added a couple of new items on there as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys soon.